What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today, we will be going through my top 18 worst movies of 2024. And man, the fact that I could make more than a top 10, because originally it was going to probably be a top 10, but man, it branched out. There are some really bad movies this year. And I will preface this. I'm hoping I will be doing a best movies of 2024. There is some good movies out there. I'm not going to be all doom and gloom and just act like everything out there is a pile of shit, but there's a lot of pile of shit this year. I'm just going to say it. There was a lot of shit this year, and ooh, where can I start? I mean, I'm just going to get right into it. Tomorrow, I'm going to be reviewing a movie called P2. Never seen it. It's a Christmas horror that came out in, like, I think 2007. But what the premise looks like is this girl goes to a party. I think a security guard is really, like, overly obsessive with her, and then he kidnaps her, and then she tries to break out. So, interesting premise. I'll be watching that tomorrow, but I do kind of want to just get into it. Some of these movies I've already done videos on, actually longer videos. I don't want to spend too long on them. Some of them I will, especially because there's a couple in here. I'm trying to think which one I haven't talked about in a video. I think almost all of them I have talked about in the video, I think. Actually, no, a couple. Strangers Chapter 1 I did not do a video on. But anyway. Honorable mention. This is one I only watched just because I was curious how bad it was, because everybody's roasting it. I watched it like in the summer. I just didn't talk about it because it was this that bad. I just wanted to move on. Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 2. That was not good. The plot was nonsensical. The characters introduction. Sophie Boutella, who was actually in a movie I actually reviewed earlier. This is actually really good. The Killer's Game. She actually is much better in that. In this, she just plays the prototypical, I don't want to say either you want to call her a girl boss, Mary Sue, just girls key to everything, who's just really good at everything, no training, she's not interesting. None of the characters are interesting. It's just a bad ripoff of Star Wars and other just space operas. And y'all know I like Zack Snyder movies, but this was not it. This was not it. So anyway, this is like an honorable mention. So I guess loosely this would be number 19. 18 is Hellboy Crooked Man. This was one where obviously I really had no expectations for, but this was not good. I wanted to like it because I love Hellboy, but one, obviously how it's shot. This looks like a straight up, I don't even want to call it, you call it student film, fan film, whatever. I'm like, why does this look so cheap? Hellboy looks really small. It just kind of turns into a bad zombie movie at a point. The guy's voice isn't gruff enough. I don't know if that guy's a good actor, and he might be an alright actor in other stuff. I don't know if he's done anything else or other like indie type movies, because I obviously don't think he's probably been in any like big Hollywood ones, because this was straight to streaming. But it just wasn't. The Crooked Man's actually from the comics, and he could be interesting. I'm not like a Hellboy expert, like from the comics. I've read a couple. I more know him from the movies, but I think you could have. Hellboy's world is interesting, and the organization he works for is like a secondary. I think the only part of the film I liked was the fight with the spider, even though the spider didn't look really good. At least it was like, okay, that's something Hellboy would do, but he didn't have any good one-liners. It just turns, like I mentioned, it just turns into a bad zombie movie. That's why I have it lower on the list, just because it's not the worst thing on the list. Like, I think I gave it like a 5 out of 10, just because at least tried, and it does try to have that R-rated Hellboy tone. It just did not work. I think if you're gonna just do the character again, whatever. Even though I think, um, fucking, um, Ron Perlman's a fuck. Just do Hellboy 3. I just think just get him to come back, do a Hellboy 3, doing like a grizzled Hellboy. I think it could work. I just, even whatever I think of him, there's no point in. You tried twice now to do Hellboy with a different actor. I just don't think it will work. I don't think it'll ever work. I'm not one of those who thinks it will never work. I think you could do Hellboy with a different actor. I just think people want Hellboy 3. Just do Ron Perlman, get their fix out, and maybe after, people will be more open to a new actor playing him. Because obviously, I think Ron Perlman's getting up there in age, so he really can't. I don't know if he could do like 2 more movies. I think the ship has sailed. If you had jumped on doing a Hellboy 3 back after 2, 2 was like '08. So if they had did like a Hellboy 3 back in like 2010, I think it could have worked. Because right when he was still doing Sons of Anarchy, that would have been like the prime time to do it. Because you could have got like 2 or even 3 movies even. Now, I don't even know if you can get 2. I think he'd do 1, and it'd be like, I don't know, I guess if you want to call it like a pseudo old man, not old man Logan, but like kind of old man Hellboy. Kind of that kind of thing. Maybe it is not necessarily Logan style, but something in that vein. Because I don't know if he'd want to play it again and probably get in all that stuff in the plaster. I think he'd do it for 1 movie, but I don't think he'd do it again. So get that done, and then maybe down the line you can get a new actor. But try to keep doing a new actor before letting Ron Perlman do another one. Just isn't working. Or if it's a situation where Ron Perlman doesn't want to do a live action, maybe if you want to still do somewhat of a send-off, get a really good animator, do it in the animation of the comic, and you could very much just have Ron Perlman live on there. And then if you want it down the line, I'm not against them trying a new Hellboy, even with a different actor again, if they actually try. You got to give it a budget, not what they did here. So, but this is the least bad, I guess, of the list. So, my number 16, or 17, sorry. Number 17 is Beetlejuice. I wanted to like this movie, man. I was kind of cautiously optimistic. I like Michael Keaton, but the plot wasn't focused. There's like 3 different stories going on, like a detective story. You got Lydia's own personal story, and then obviously the stuff with Beetlejuice's wife, I don't know why they threw that in there. That's something you could have just did in another movie. As much as I love Monica Bellucci, but she was not really useful in the movie. I like Willem Dafoe, and as much as I love Jenna Ortega, she literally was just playing Wednesday. Even the school, I just thought about this, like the school, I thought about it before I started recording this. They really did make that school borderline just feel like it was almost the same university. That it's not as like obviously stylized as like the university in Wednesday, but it's similar. It's just like she plays the same character there, and I get it. She's supposed to be like almost like young Lydia, but I felt like this was borderline just Wednesday, man. Because I actually think Jenna Ortega can act. I've seen her play different characters, so even in she just came out with a trailer recently called like something about a unicorn, and it's about they kill a unicorn and then its mother wants to get a revenge. So it's that kind of movie. But from what I saw of it, Jenna Ortega doesn't seem like she's just playing Wednesday. She's playing a different type of character. She's a daughter character, but she doesn't feel like she's emo, goth. Not emo, I meant to just say goth, like Wednesday. She actually feels like she's just a normal girl. Like almost like the opposite. I don't know if like I would say girly, but like full on just kind of regular girl, not goth and all that. She seems much more animated. She's not like playing Wednesday. So it just felt like I love Tim Burton, but it just felt like, well, just because I did Wednesday, just he probably just told Jenna Ortega just be Wednesday. Didn't even really. Who would I wouldn't be surprised if they were probably filming. He was probably filming both of them at the same time. So that's possibly too. So he's probably phoned. Like I'm not gonna say phoned it in, but there's too much going on. I think if you streamlined it and you focused on one of the three plots I just mentioned, I think it could have worked better. But it was cool seeing Catherine O'Hara, and obviously I still like that Tim Burton aesthetic, but it just was not good. It wasn't needed. I didn't need another Beetlejuice. I'm like, if you're just gonna give me that, I would have been fine just not seeing it again. It was cool seeing Keaton, but and you could tell he was having fun again, but this movie had too much going on. The stories all over the place. Um, I I didn't really like how Winona Ryder played Lydia, and it's weird because she's really good in Stranger Things, and I don't know why. Just the way she played Lydia in this just didn't do it for me. And Justin Theroux, good actor, but he was the cartoony. He was very cartoony as the villain. I did not care. Definitely do not plan on watching this. In my mind, Beetlejuice is just one movie. And it's sad because Beetlejuice has always been talked about. Like, that was even a thing before, like, even before they announced doing Beetlejuice. So it's, like, sad that this is what we got. I would have just been better off. Number 16. This is a sad one because I really wanted to like this. Because I was hooked on the premise. It had Nick Cage in it. Long Legs. I wanted to like it. And like I said, it was the premise, but then they added this occult shit, this random cult. The lead, she seems like she's a good actress. She just didn't deliver in this movie. It was boring, shot well, but not enough Nick Cage. Like my title said in my review, you didn't get enough Nick Cage is barely in it. He's not fucking in this movie much. I would have been fine if he went full on like. Not, I don't even need to see him kill people. I would have been fine if he did a thing where it's like him just going through his crimes to the officers or to the detective, and maybe you do get visuals aid, and maybe you get someone to be like a younger Nick Cage while he goes through his crimes. I think that would have been a much better film. Cut out the cult shit. That was not needed. The random stupid dolls. Why was that there? I'm like, why is there this supernatural element that they're mentioning? Like, why? I didn't need that in the movie. I was so disappointed. And how long it was, like I said, I'm not one of those people. I need action every scene. I can fucking one of my favorite films last year was fuck, I can't think of the name right now, but will come to me. But I'll think of a better one. 7. Iconic movie. Not a lot of action. Very much, a lot of dialogue. One of my favorite fucking scenes in the movie is the opening of Reservoir Dogs. And fuck. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. Really side thing, really quick. But as I was saying, going more in the Long Legs, I was just disappointed because I was like, Nick Cage is a serial killer. I'm like, that could be really good. And the trailers were good. And because it's made by Neon, and they generally are like, their movies are shot well. And they usually deliver. And like I said, it visually looked great. But this just did not. this just wasn't it. This way too long. Um, there's a lot of just scenes of just people walking at times. Hold on, I'm looking. Sorry, I guess it's taking longer than it needed to. But I just was hoping this was gonna be better than it was. Nefarious. I couldn't think of the name. Nefarious. That movie, a lot of it is just a conversation. So I'm not like I need action, but I was even saying this film could have been a conversation with Nick going through his crimes. But no, and we had to get a stupid reveal that the lady's mom was in on. I'm like, I didn't need that. The stupid aliens, not the aliens, dolls. I was so disappointed in this movie. So, Longlegs, number 16. Number 15 is Atlas with Jennifer Lopez. I don't think I did a review on this. I'm trying to remember if I reviewed it or not. But this was one that was on Netflix. The robot with the pronouns. I'm not going to really spend long on it because it's Netflix. The acting is really bad. It looks cheap. If you play Titanfall, it's a bad version of that. Simu Liu is the fucking AI villain. The dialogue is horrible. Jennifer Lopez is unlikable. There's not much to say. It's Atlas. Number 14, this is one, I don't think I did do a video on this. This was more I was just mad about. Because I think I wanted to do a video on it, but I was just... I don't think I did a video, but I did think I, mentioned it in a video. Out of Darkness. This was one I remember seeing a trailer for, because the premise is you see these cavemen in the prehistoric times walking through, they get lost in the woods, and something is hunting them. And that is what the movie has you think. I thought, oh, it's going to be like a creature feature. And it's fucking not. You get the reveal that it's another tribe of cavemen. I was so mad. One, I'm kind of tired of the humans are the real monster trope. Why not just do a creature feature? You could have had it be a lost dinosaur. I would have been fine if you just went that route. Saber-toothed tiger. Even a dire bear, dire wolf. One of those, like, something prehistoric taking these, and then none of the characters were likable. The main character, and I get it, they're cavemen, so they're not really supposed to be likable, but it was boring too. It was just a lot of it's shot well, but there's just a lot of walking. You know how some people try to say that Lord of the Weirdos who say like Lord of the Rings is just a bunch of walking. That's what this movie is. It is just walking at times. I was so disappointed because they even make you believe it's a creature. You hear noises. There's even like a body of like an animal, I think it's a woolly mammoth. I think, chewed up, but they made you seem like it was some creature that ripped it apart. But obviously, I'm assuming it just died naturally, and that was its body they found. It was so man, I was fucking mad about this movie. I actually saw this in theaters. And I wanted to like it. Because I wanted a good, caveman horror. Even 10,000 BC, even though it's not a horror. I would love a horror version of that. Because that movie's not perfect, but I actually would like a horror version. If it was like a saber-tooth hunting these people. I'm not even saying it needed to be like some monster, some alien. Because I was even seeing some people would have liked it to have been that. I didn't need that. I would have been fine if it was some prehistoric creature. Just... Fuck, it was disappointing that this is where we went. It was just human bad, and yeah. That's number 14. And this is another one I know this one I definitely didn't review. Loki. I actually might some point review it. I'm not gonna go back and watch the second one, but I will go back and watch this one to review for the channel. This one is pretty bad. Out of Darkness. Or that's the one I just reviewed. Number 13, Strangers Chapter 1. This was fucking terrible. This was literally the first movie, but bad. Because it pretty much starts out similarly. I think the only difference is they're a couple. The couple, I don't think he's about to He's about to propose to her. But they are together throughout the film, but it starts out the same. They go into town. People look at them weird. The acting is horrible. A lot of their main characters just make stupid decisions. You know, like a lot of those iconic moments from the first one where it's building tension and you see them there in the background in the house. There's a lot of that, but just done terribly. It doesn't hit the same. It doesn't, because it's done badly a lot of the time. A lot of just shitty jump scares. There's a moment where the dude has basically he has a gun on one of the killers, and he, instead of shooting her, he goes on like this cringy fucking like speech, and then he just gets knocked out, and he gets killed, and I think she survives, and it's not good. And they're trying to do a second. I'm like, no, I didn't need this. This literally, it's a soft reboot. It's called Chapter 1. It's a reboot. It's awful. The killers do not hit the same. The strangers do not hit the same like they do in this one. So I don't want to watch Prey at Night. I know a lot of people say it was okay, but I didn't even really need a sequel. So I'm mainly going to only stick to the first one. And yeah, I'm not watching this one again. This one was fucking shit. And it's sad, because The Strangers, that first one is still so good, and this is what we get. An awful, just basically bad remake of the first one. So, that's been number 13, sorry. Number 12 now is Godzilla X Kong. This one, obviously, I really fucking hate, but because of the other awful movies on this list, I almost feel like I had to put it lower. I actually would like to put it higher, just because I'm a Godzilla fan, and this one, it's like a parody of what they're doing with the Legendary verse, the Monsterverse. It's a joke now. It's full on just superhero movie. It's Kong and Godzilla are superheroes. And I get some people are trying to defend it. Oh, Godzilla has some goofy stuff. I don't want that. I'm not saying you can't have goofy moments and stuff, but I'd rather, like, King of the Monsters and, for Kong, Skull Island was, like, the perfect tone. And then it's just, like, we've moved away from that. Scar King was pointless. He didn't even fight Godzilla. He's supposedly Godzilla's biggest rival. They didn't even fight. The fights aren't even good anymore, because they're full on, like, Godzilla does a suplex. Like, what? There's a scene when he gets in the water, he does a dive, almost like an Olympic dive. Like, I was rolling my eyes the entire time. The CGI was good. Godzilla looked like shit. There's only one good scene when Godzilla was, like, getting radiation from a radiation plant, a power plant. That was cool. I thought that shot was cool, but the rest of the movie, it didn't. And I get people are trying to defend it. Oh, it's nice to have, like, the juxtaposition from, -1 to this. But it's like, for me, it's the opposite. That's, like, kind of proves my point. Like, you have -1 that Japan just outclassed. I mean, obviously, Godzilla's their character. But they showed us how to do a Godzilla movie. Why does this need to be a Godzilla X Kong movie? It didn't even need to be a team-up movie, and now apparently they're going to do another one, but it's going to be Godzilla focused. I'm like, why? Just do a goddamn Godzilla solo, and then do a Kong solo movie. Scar King makes more sense for a Kong villain. And then the little Kong was pointless because that's just there to be Baby Yoda. That's the Baby Yoda of this movie. Oh, fuck, man. The little girl was just a plot device. The humans are just there. You had rip-off Star-Lord character. The conspiracy guy is just full-on annoying now. Oh, man. I really want to put this higher, but because the other shit in this movie, I mean, in this list, I almost feel like it wouldn't be fair. I couldn't justify putting it higher. Number 11 is Argyle. This was one that's sad to me because Matthew Vaughn, who's made the Kingsman movies, which eventually that'll actually be a perfect series to review at some point, made this movie, and I was really excited. You know, Henry Cavill's in it, but he's barely in it. That's not even my problem though, because to be fair, Henry Cavill was the fictional character, but there's a part of me that's like, okay, if you wanted to do this sleeper agent thing, Bryce Dallas Howard was not the woman to do it. This was I kind of called it like a bad Long Kiss Goodnight, because Long Kiss Goodnight basically kind of did something similar. This woman, instead of being an author, she was like a mom, but that was her cover, but she was too deep in cover that she almost was living it, but then she got snapped out of it. Similar thing happens here, but it's awful. Sam Rockwell is like the only, and Bryan Cranston are like the only two good things. Catherine O'Hara was kind of fun in it, but everything else sucked. Bryce Dallas Howard just isn't an action star. At least in the Jurassic World movies, she's not necessarily like doing the action. The only action she really does is run away. She's not fighting or anything like that. She's mostly just running away. So I can kind of give that a pass. She shouldn't be fighting people. That ice skating scene is some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. When I saw it go this direction, I was just disappointed. And the thing was, at first, when I first saw it, I was wondering, am I being hard on it? Because unfortunately that day, that's when, unfortunately, we got the news of Carl Weathers dying. R.I.P. And I was wondering if that's why I was maybe being down on the movie a bit more than I normally would be. Like, no, it's not good. Because then saw friends of mine talk about it on a stream, and it really made me more and more just realize, yeah, I was right. This movie is not good. It was a giant waste of time. I don't know why Matthew Vaughn made this movie. I don't know who greenlit this. This felt like some really bad fan fiction. If you're gonna do this sleeper agent thing, you should have got a better lead. You could have maybe made the story work, but got a better actress. And the other thing, I think the problem I had was, Henry's not really in it. You could even want like a Last Action Hero type of thing where she somehow gets transported into his world. I actually would like that. That'd have been creative. Because Samuel Jackson was not needed in this movie. He does nothing. But anyway, let's get into number 10. Because now we're in the top 10 territory. This is like the real shit of the year. Number 10. Imaginary. This one had a good concept, man. You're in the world of imaginary friends, and then one of them actually is a killer. But no, because she has this doll named Chauncey, the little girl character. But we're supposed to get this big reveal that, the doll wasn't real the entire time, and it did not deliver. It's like if AI wrote a movie. It's very boring. There's no kills in it. The the imaginary world you barely see. You only get it for like the last 10 minutes. It's not even really that cool looking. Chauncey the bear doesn't even really look that great. Yeah, it wasn't good, man. I'm not feeling it. So overall, this is like Bloomhouse just Bloomhousing. Like they don't give a shit because they know. Well, we don't need to make. We can make these small budget movies and we'll get a big return on it. So they don't even give a shit and try, and that's how we get shit like this. Number 9. I mean, because I feel like I didn't really need to talk about that one that long. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This one was shit. This one is one that was sad because I liked Afterlife, but I'm at a point now where I almost would have rather it not exist if it meant not getting this movie. Because this movie, it just is the personification of the problem with modern Ghostbusters. It's not really Ghostbusters anymore. It's just a Marvel. It might as well be like another just Marvel modern movie. Like, just um, it. I was so disappointed. Like Phoebe, I actually liked in the first one, and then they just make her uber unlikable in this one. Like, she's a know-it-all. She thinks she's right. Her entire character is she's right. She gets proven right, and that's it. There's no evolution with her character. The whole ghost friend thing was dumb. I'm gonna be honest. They should have never went this frozen villain route, and the fire master. Oh, guys, remember fire? Remember the Keymaster? Oh, fuck this movie, man. The fact that like Phoebe even like just kind of shows my point. She gets like the only proton pack that's like the fucking like newer one. She doesn't like. I'm not saying she should have made a bunch, but like fuck her only getting it and she saves the day. It's not a good movie, man. I don't want any more Ghostbusters at this point. I think Ghostbusters needs to be left alone. My mind, it's only the 2 movies and like the video game. I don't know if I'm gonna keep Afterlife. I did like seeing Harold Ramis. I might maybe that moment exists where there's some story where it's older them and then you see Ghost Ramis. I would have been fine there, but everything else just this one really taints Afterlife for me just because it really makes it like I don't think that I would rather not exist if it meant not getting this because this is just bad. Like there are people who like it. I mean, if you're not into Ghostbusters, I can see liking it. It's somewhat entertaining. There's action. What was the point of fucking Mike from Stranger Things in this? He does nothing in this movie. The legacy characters are barely in it. Like they come in the end, but fucking Bill Murray's clearly phoning it in. Dan Aykroyd's like the only one who's somewhat trying, but I feel like everyone else is phoning it in, especially Bill Murray. Oh my god, dude. Even like in his line delivery, you can tell he just doesn't give a fuck. So yeah, out of 10, fuck, I'd probably give this movie a fucking. This is like a 4 out of 10, man. This was sad. Like I wanted to like it, but it just wasn't good. But yeah, my number 8. Night Swim. Night Swim was fucking terrible, man. This was one. The house is haunted. So this family moves in. Kurt Russell's son, who I like him as an actor, but man, he gets saddled with some bad shit like this. Obviously, what's going on with him in Marvel, too. It's just like, dude, I don't know what that screaming is. But anyway, that God, even in like the Godzilla show, Monarch, he just gets kind of wasted. I really wish, because his father had a great career. I really would like for him to, but it's just he gets, especially in this movie. I mean, it's another AI slop horror movie. The kills don't matter. They don't explain how the pool's haunted, and if they do, it's a terrible job at it. You don't really care. The amount of time they have to remind you, because his character is a baseball player, so they have to fucking beat it in your head he's a baseball player, because there's even a scene where he plays baseball later, which I guess kind of makes sense to show that he's better, but it's still like, and there's scenes of him reminiscing about being in baseball. It's like, fuck, okay, I get it, he's a baseball player. Like, fuck, man. When movies do that, ugh. Like, yeah, this was not good. This is AI slop horror. Like, this is like the perfect example of that. Another movie I kind of forgot to put in. It's not going to be obviously an upper echelon. I guess it's technically being a runner-up would be Red One. But at least in that, I can see how people are saying it's just dumb fun. I think it's awful. I think it's another rock slop film. The bad CGI. No one gives a fuck in this movie. It's just another rock fucking fuck, I don't know why I can't think of the word. Vanity. Fuck, I don't know why I couldn't think of the word vanity. It's a rock vanity project. That's all this is. It's another addition to Rock's vanity projects. So, and Chris Evans, he's just not a movie star without Marvel. There's a reason he ran back to Marvel after doing this movie. So, but anyway, so now on to number 7. Gladiator 2. This one didn't even need to exist. This was one, like, obviously, next to my number 1, where I'm like, this should have just never fucking happened. I always knew the moment they announced this was gonna be trash. Because you're never gonna be as good as the first one. But because Ridley Scott, obviously I said in my Ridley Scott fucking up video, that he is just on a midlife crisis right now. I don't know why he thought there needed to be a Gladiator 2. It's just, does he just feel like he needs to outdo and just ruin the legacy of his original IPs he did with Alien? Now he's doing it with Gladiator. Now they're doing a fucking 3. The main, Paul Mescal is just not a good lead. Denzel Washington, as much as I love him, this is probably a case of this is a bad Denzel movie. This just is. There are moments where he just sounds like he's Alonzo from fucking Training Day. I'm like, bro, why do you keep trying to go from an accent to going to Training Day? But the no explanation to why we're just back to the status quo, even though the whole point of the ending of the first one is that they're free. No, we're back to having emperors and shit. And the emperors are just pathetic. They're just bad fucking Commodus ripoffs. They're literally just Commodus, but shit. Obviously the reveal that Lucius is Maximus's son, which is just, why? Why did you do that? Like, why? Now he's a cheater. Because now basically it implies he's a cheater because Lucius is around the same age as his son who dies in the first one. And the gladiator fights are just basically the setup the same way. This is literally just it's almost like The Force Awakens in that sense. This is just a bad version of the first one. Fuck this movie, man. For existing. It's the bad version of the first one, but there's like a kind of a happy ending. And then trying to do the shit like, oh, he's talking to his father, because there's a scene where it implies that his father's hand grabs him. We're supposed to be, yeah, that's Maximus. Oh, fuck this movie. I don't want to say, and I'm borderline going to say fuck Ridley Scott, just because he's on this ego trip where you just cannot let his IPs just go. Not everything needs a sequel. And stop ruining Alien. Now you're gonna keep ruining Gladiator. We're gonna get a fucking Gladiator fucking 6 or some shit. Like, oh man. Number 6. This is the dumbest movie on this list. Trap. I wanted to like this, man. Because I love Josh Hartnett, and I've been liking he's getting this resurgence. He's been in a lot more movies. You know, Operation Fortune last year, Oppenheimer last year. Some, not that obviously Oppenheimer being the big one, but 2 big roles last year, pretty good roles. He's having a nice little resurgence for himself, and then he comes back and does this. I think he's the better part of this movie, but the whole premise is stupid anyway. That they're trying to find this killer at this concert, and is, when I mean the dumbest movie ever made, like the fact that he can just, some of the shit he does, the way he's just able to get around, even though there's like SWAT moving around. There's a scene where he just goes into like the coffee room where there's just SWAT around and is able to just steal their walkie-talkie. You have an employee who lets him go into the fucking employee like stockroom because he wanted to get a shirt for his daughter. How the fuck are you able to let him in? Oh man. And the fact that the police are just arresting random people, but they somehow are not arresting Josh Hartnett. The scene where he's on the roof with SWAT and he's able to talk his way out makes no fucking sense. Oh god, man. Especially without supposedly tight security, and the whole reveal of that, the wife, instead of calling the cops because she suspected he was the killer, because initially she suspected he was cheating, but then he followed him to this house, and then now suspected he's the killer. Why didn't she go to the cops instead of, I'm going to leave him this anonymous ticket to where this guy's going to be at with your fucking daughter? Oh my god, this fucking movie. And the whole shit with the bike in the end, and that's how he's able to break out. I'm like, how the fuck was he able to fiddle with a bike with handcuffs? M. Night. M. Night, just stop making movies, man. You had a nice little return with Knock at the Cabin. You should have just ended it there. The Watchers is whatever. Because that also came out this year. It wasn't awful, but I almost forgot I even saw it. It's like, it's nothing to write home about. It's whatever. It's better than this shit. And some of the random zoom in shots on people's faces when they're talking is awkward. Because they would cut to that and then random normal, fucking shots. And it's just, what are we doing? Number 5. And this is my most disappointing of the year, because I really wanted to like this movie because I really like this trilogy. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I was really wanting this to be good. A nice return to this world. The only positives I really have is that the CGI is great. It looks really good. But I would have liked this one to have no humans. Obviously, you could have had humans there, maybe some in the background, but there should not have been a human character. The main ape, I don't even remember his name, to be honest. I remember the villain, Proximus. I was kind of more negative on Proximus. I'm gonna take that back a little bit. I do think he just needed a good lead to bounce off of, and he just didn't have that. The lead was boring as fucking dull water. The whole movie's kind of boring. Some of the action's alright, but not enough to keep me intrigued. William H. Macy was only there to just die. I like him as an actor, but he was just there to die. Because he was just there to get killed by the main. And because, he's revealed to be working with the apes. Proximus, he's almost like Scar King. Could have been a good villain, but they don't have anything to bounce off of. Granted, Scar King should have been a Kong villain. That's the difference, but whatever. This is worse, because Proximus, needed, like, I would have loved, like, Caesar had Koba, you know? But that's because Caesar was a compelling character. You didn't have that here. Oh, man. I did not like this movie. I don't know if I'm even going to come back for the other two. I don't see myself doing it. This was just. I think they are going to make them because I think it made decent money. So. And I know mostly people like it, but I was disappointed. I was very saddened that this wasn't as good as it should have been. Like, I don't understand why they went this route with it. Because those other three movies are great. You know, Dawn is my favorite of the three. Rise was really good. Even War was really good. And then this is how you bring it back, especially because this one's more aesthetically. This is supposed to be more like the originals. We're getting to that point where the apes are dominant over the humans. So this is getting more towards like the originals, and they just dropped the ball, man. Like, borderline, this is the worst Planet of the Apes movie to me. As bad as the Tim Burton one is, at least that one, there's points where I could just kind of laugh at it. And I'm just gonna say, as much as I love Tim Burton, he's not the right person to ever do a Planet of the Apes movie. So there's at least that aspect. This had really big potential to be really good. I'm not saying it could have been on par with the trilogy, but this could have been really fucking good in the start of a new trilogy, and they just dropped the ball. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I'm coming back. I don't see right now. Don't see myself coming back because they really did not swing. I might wait and see on opinions of whenever the second one of this one comes out. So yeah, this was just sad. Definitely most disappointing of the year. It's just there's 4 more movies worse than it, but like it's still my most disappointing. That's why I do still have it pretty high up. Number 4, Borderlands. This was never going to be good. This was doomed from the start. Once I saw the cast, Kevin Hart. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. She was too old. Same thing with fucking Cate Blanchett. She's too old. This was never gonna be good. This was not Borderlands. They didn't really get the aesthetic right. It felt like more like another Bad Guardians kind of clone, which it seems like that's Borderline just gonna become almost like a bad genre, where it's Bad Guardians clones, because this is just what we're getting now. I'm gonna say it kind of started with the first Suicide Squad movie, because it really did seem like that's what we just kind of get. You know, after the shift of, you know, we know the behind the scenes of what happened with that first Suicide Squad movie, where they wanted to shift it to more like a Guardians clone, and then that's when we started and then they went more with the second one, and then now we did it here. We're kind of even getting it in games with Concord. It's just like, fuck, man. They're really just overdoing it. The humor was awful. It was just, no one gave a fuck. Cate Blanchett was clearly phoning it in. It was like the most obvious. Every line was just no fucks given. And you know she's a great actress. And it's just, yeah, this just didn't work, man. Oh, I think I just realized something. Another bad movie I didn't put on here. I guess for now I'll call it 4B. Lol. The 4B movement. Anyway. Madam Web. This was just bad. This was another one where I don't even know why you're going to adapt her as a character. She doesn't need a movie. If you're going to bring her in a movie, you bring her in like a Spider-Verse kind of thing. Not in like a solo film. Dakota Johnson is not a good actress. She just isn't. She never tries any, like, at least with Craven, Aaron Taylor Johnson's a better actor, and at least he tried. He at least tried to have some charisma, and he had some emotion when he delivered lines. She delivered lines like a fucking, like, No emotion, just very flat. The girls were all annoying. It wasn't even a superhero movie. I almost feel like we were robbed. The villain is one of the worst villains I have ever seen in a film. The ADR is awful. There's just even moments where his mouth isn't moving, but words are coming out. And they really want to beat it in your head. It's 2003, so they play like a lot of 2003 music. I hate when movies that are supposed to be like movies set in a certain time where they think the only way to make it, oh guys, we're in this time, let's spam a lot of music from it. As much as I love music, that's not the only way to let you know we're in the time. You got to get the aesthetic right. You know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They didn't just spam music from 1969 as the only way to let you know. And they didn't just constantly remind you it's 1969. You just felt like you were there. This movie constantly reminded you it's 2003. Oh, here's 2003 Coke cans. Here's, 2003 music. 2003 this. Like, it's like they beat it in your head. It's the bastardized version of the with great power comes great responsibility line. I think it's like with responsibility comes great power. That's like how they bastardized it. And then the villain gets killed by a fucking Pepsi sign. Oh, and the Pepsi fucking ad placement. Like, Jesus, man. It was bad. So now on to number 3. And this is one that really makes me mad. And I was always really blah. I always had a bad feeling about this one. Alien Romulus. This was just not good. This was fucking bastardized the lore. As I put in my title of my video, it's just a bad tribute concert. It very much was just a bad, oh, Alien's greatest hit. Let's do this scene from Alien 4, Alien 3, Aliens, another people locked in this space station instead of a ship. It's a space station with xenomorphs, which the xenomorph is not even really a threat in this. It's just cannon fodder. They only kill like a lot of the side characters. The characters aren't likable. You have a lead that's literally just a blah. I was thinking Rhea Ripley. I meant to say rip off Ripley. She just is. She's a Ripley rip off. They even give her like the gun with the flamethrower. It's just, you have the iconic shot from Alien 3 where the Xeno gets really close to her. They even ripped off from Alien 4 one of the worst things why the fuck would you copy this? No one liked this. The alien human hybrid thing. That's gonna be on the thumbnail. Like, why the fuck did you do that? I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. I never wanted to see that again. I thought they had understood, because there was a reason they hadn't done that since 1997. But for some reason, they decided to bring it back. And then the Rook fucking bad, D8, CGI. Because for some reason, every fucking android now looks like Ash from Alien. It's just, why? And I get they had permission. That's not even the part I have a problem with. I just thought it was a bad idea in general to do it. You didn't need to bring him back. You would have been better off. You could have gotten Michael Fassbender, because that would have been or even Bishop. Lance Henriksen's still alive. This movie is just terrible. And it bothers me that a lot of people like it. I think it's a case of, it is shot well, and I love Fede Alvarez, but I feel like he got too focused on like the aesthetic instead of the actual film and the story. And that's why because Alien to me is a story ultimately. It's not just about the aesthetic. So, to me, this is the worst Alien film just because of how uncreative it is. As bad as Resurrection, as bad as Covenant are, this is at least creative. I mean, at least those are creative somewhat. This is just unoriginal. This is just all the Alien movies put in a blender and shit. And garbage. Yeah, fuck this movie. Number 2 is Joker 2. This is another one I didn't do a review on. Because I just couldn't do it, man. This was just awful. Todd Phillips got butthurt because a certain audience liked the first movie. An audience, I guess, he didn't like. So he decided to just take the first movie and just shit on it. Arthur Fleck doesn't matter. He wasn't the real Joker. Fuck him. His life sucks. Let's have him get raped. They don't show it, but there very much is the implication he gets raped. It's like, why did you... Because Todd Phillips decided to be an edgelord, and just because he got buttered at certain people liking his movie. So he decides to just spin on it. And then let's have him just get broken up in the end when she doesn't need him anymore. And then get shanked in prison by supposedly the real Joker for some reason. And then it turns out he was never the actual Joker. So all that journey he went through in the first movie does not fucking matter. So it thus destroying the first movie. I've said it. I said it after it came out. I can't watch the first one again. And it's sad because that first Joker was really good to me. That theater experience, when I first saw it and when it was done, I was sitting in my chair for like a second before I left the theater. And it's like... And now that's all ruined because this one just wanted... Todd Phillips wanted to say, fuck you. And I didn't even have the musical stuff was bad too, but that's not even the big problem with everything else about the movie. Even someone who worked on the movie said this movie was a piece of shit. And it flopped so hard, it lost to Terrifier 3. Terrifier 3 beat fucking Sirens. Honestly, I hope DC never works with Todd Phillips again. I just, that is sad that he just decided to take a shit on his own movie, on his own first movie. I'm not saying I don't know how anybody else feels, but for me, I can't go back to that first one now because it all doesn't matter. When he ultimately just said, "Oh, he wasn't the real Joker," so all that journey doesn't matter. Yeah. Ooh, now, this is the only movie, there's only one movie that is worse than this on this list. Because, man, if this movie did not exist, this Joker 2 would low-key be my number 1 if this did not exist. You already know. I was bitching about it all fucking year, basically, until it came out. I was already making videos. The moment I knew this was announced, this was already a bad fucking idea because how much I love the original The Crow reboot. Why the fuck was this made? I was already... The fact... I remember they announced this back in 2011. And they were going to have, like, Jason Momoa in it because he just, I think it was around the time when that Conan reboot came out, which I didn't hate. I remember it not being great, but I remember thinking it was like whatever at the time. But it didn't like piss me off. I might rewatch it one day. Like maybe I'll go and do the Arnold Jesus Christ, Conan movies, and then watch that one. But that was around the time he was making that, so they wanted Jason Momoa to play it. But they scrapped it, and they were smart. But no, they decided, no, we're gonna bring it back. We're gonna keep doing the same thing, and just this is what we got. The director was so butthurt who made this movie because the fans didn't like it. He attacked the fans, and there's a reason this Bond is gonna get forgotten for the rest of the time, and it sucks because Bill Skarsgård doesn't spoil. He's in my number 1, at least so far, favorite movie of the year. And Boy Kills World. So he's in something really good, but then he's unfortunately in my worst movie of the year. Granted, I think my number 1 movie is going to change once Nosferatu comes out, but it really was just... I did not The music was bad. They made Shelly a fucking crackhead, even though the whole point of in the original is Shelly's almost like this angelic figure. And people try. There's some people try to defend. Oh, but this is like I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna say it. I'm not a big fan of the comic. I think the movie did it better. I like them making Shelly a crackhead, not a crackhead, but a angelic figure who, you know, was everything to Eric. There was a reason. If you remember the little girl character from the original, she saw Shelly as a mother because her own mother was a druggie. So basically, in this one, they make her the mother, make her the mother of the little girl, and they just go on a 2-week crack binge. That was insulting. That whole sequence. When I was watching that, because I'm gonna be honest, the movie leaked months ago before it came out, and they leaked that they're basically druggies, and her drug dealer kills her, and that's basically what it was. And the actor who plays the villain is really good. He's in 30 Days of Night. He's he's Stryker in X-Men Days of X-Men Origins Wolverine. He's one of the few decent parts in that movie. So unfortunately, he's just wasted here. And the fact too, he has powers I hate, because the one thing I liked about the original Crow is the only supernatural element is the Crow. Everything else is pretty much real, and it's supposed to be like almost realistic and gritty. You take that away with now, okay, now we're just in Marvel or DC. This is might as well just be like a comic book world now. And I get it, The Crow was originally a comic, but I personally don't like the idea of there being other superpowered beings. I just like, you just want to get revenge on these either drug dealers or just really bad people. They don't. I like the fact that the world's pretty much realistic. The only supernatural element is the Crow. Now, when everything else just has powers, we're just no different. You're just no different to me than I'm gonna say it. You're no different than blah. You're no different to me than a Marvel movie or a DC film at this point. As much as I love Bill Skarsgård, he kind of played Eric like a bitch in this movie. He's so hesitant to do things, even after what happened. It was like, what the fuck? And the way Shelly dies, too, is not even... In the original, she gets, unfortunately raped, beaten, and suffers for 30 hours. In this, she just gets choked out with a bag. And also, they make her a killer, too. And I get it. The reveal is she was possessed. The guy is able to he whispers stuff in your ear, and he basically can control you. And he often, when he does that, he would make you kill yourself or something like that. But he made her basically kill somebody. Either way, that is fucked up. That is bastardizing what happened in the original. The original Crow was so good because, unfortunately, with the tragedy with Brandon Lee, the fact that we still got a movie like that, that's one of the reasons we should have just never gotten sequels, because how good that movie turned out with what happened never should have been touched. And then now you make this piece of shit where you make Shelly and Eric druggies. You go on a 2-week crack binge at a random rich person's house. Oh man, this movie is a pile of shit. This, to me, is in the class of... As much as this could be a case, and this might be hyperbole right now, but I'm feeling this. This might be my worst movie ever. Just because of the ramifications of, obviously, with what happened to Brandon Lee and how great that original one was. This one is just a personal insult to me. As much as I love Star Wars, and Rise of Palpatine is the dumbest film ever made, TLJ was a piece of shit, and it destroyed Star Wars, but... this is worse, just because of what it does, and just it existing is an insult. This is easily... I haven't seen all the Crow sequels. I've seen the second one. That one wasn't good, but even I can tell probably this was the worst one. This shouldn't even exist. Fuck this fucking movie. And I'm gonna say, fuck the director who made this movie. And I really wish Bill Skarsgård just said no, because he's a really good actor. John Wick 4, in the newer It movies, and he's in my favorite movie so far, favorite movie of the year, in Boy Kills World. So it's just disappointing that he's in this. So yeah, but that's all I can really say. Other than that, yeah, that's my worst movie of the year, guys. I can't wait to talk about the good stuff this year, actually, because I love being positive and actually talking about good stuff. Because there is some good stuff this year. Um, you know, Fall Guy, Boy Kills World, Bad Boys Ride or Die. I actually even like Beverly Hills Cop 4. It has its problems, but I like it. Um, First Omen, Terrifier 3, you name it. There's some really good stuff this year. So I hopefully can make at least around the same number of good films this year. At least past 10, because I think there is some really good stuff this year. Fall Guy, like that's a big one. Like I really loved Fall Guy. Um I love Deadpool 3. Problems and all I have with it, Deadpool 3 was good. So there is some stuff. I just think, unfortunately, yeah, there's just a lot of bad this year. That's the one thing sometimes, it sucks about being a reviewer is you do see a lot of shit. So there are probably reviewers who can probably get to like fucking 30 or 40 worst movies of the year. I think we haven't seen that many bad movies, but fuck. Even just getting to 18 is pretty crazy for me. So, but yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna be talking about a movie like I mentioned called P2. So I can't wait to watch that. I'm going in blind. I've never seen it. I just know it's a Christmas horror movie. I've seen a lot of people say it's a really good horror film. It's very self-contained, good survival horror. This girl's trying to get out of this building. This guy's trying to kill her, who's obsessed with her. So very simple. So we'll be watching that tomorrow. So subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. Link will be in the description. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier. I just kind of wanted to get to the list. I saw Sonic 3, and I'm going to say it. It's pretty good. It's, entertaining. Jim Carrey was good. Keanu as Shadow was awesome. The action was great. Obviously, I don't know Sonic. I've never really played the games. I've never been into them, so I can't go and really talk about it in that aspect. I enjoyed it as a nice little kids movie. I think it's a nice little trilogy along with the two other movies. I think this is definitely the best of the three. Idris Elba as Knuckles was great. Tails was good. Like, I like their dynamic. I actually did like that the humans took a back seat this time around. This very much felt like it was more focused on Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. I think that's a big reason that I feel like if I were to rewatch any of these, this would be the one I watch, because there's a lot more. They cut down on the human stuff. Even in the beginning, they let it just be about the three of them. And if the only human characters they focus on is mainly like, you have Kristen, I'm trying to think of her name. She's in Breaking Bad. She's also Jessica. I'll just say Jessica Jones for now. I can't. Her name will come to me at some point. But yeah, Jessica Jones was in this. So there's a couple human characters, but they let it. There's no stupid scene like the wedding scene like in the second one. They actually let it be about the characters. So it actually felt like a good video game adaptation. Shadow was great. His introduction was good. So yeah, Sonic 3 was pretty good. So out of 10, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. So at least it was nice to end on talk about something positive really quick. In this worst movies of the year video. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna get ready to wrap it here and talk to y'all later. Alright, y'all. Talk to y'all later.